right. Hello, everyone. This is Geek Hybrid, and I'm coming to you here with a recap, a trading recap. And I am going through the video with you, and I'm going to discuss all the decisions I made today and discuss what was going through my mind as I placed each trade and as I held out on each trade, or as I lost each trade, or whatever the case is. Today I did break even, so I'm going to discuss how I broke even and what went on there and things of that nature. At one point I was up $200 and then just went down to break even. So here we go. This is me, as you can see down there on my webcam, showing my face and my emotions and whatever else is going on. So here I'm kind of looking around, kind of staking the chart out and trying to see where I can get in and exactly at what level I need to pay attention to in order to get in. So it's 6:41 Pacific Standard my time. It's 9:41 Eastern Standard, and Nadex goes by Eastern time. So it's really early. I'm really interested at that particular level. I'm contemplating at this point, as far as this particular trade is concerned, I'm contemplating whether or not I want to get in here because of the level it's at. It's a real dangerous place to get in. I usually feel a little funny about this particular level, but I am contemplating on getting in at this point. So I'm just kind of watching that particular candle. Believe it or not, I am a patient trader. Believe it or not, but yeah, I'm just waiting for this candle to finish, and so I can understand exactly what I need to do, what decision I need to make after this. So it starts to turn into a doji, or what appears to be a doji, then it kind of starts to do some other things. As far as my chart is concerned, I'm looking at the 5-minute chart, and I'm trading 20-minute binaries on Nadex. So with the 20-minute binaries, I specifically focus on the Nasdaq, or what Nadex calls the US Tech 100. I focus on this particular asset class, or just this one, because the levels tend to be, well, I should say the spreads on the levels on Nadex tend to be a little bit tighter. So you tend to get pretty good pricing on certain levels when you time the market correctly, which is what I tend to have a problem with from time to time. Yeah, that's what I'm trading. So I'm trading the US Tech 100, or the Nasdaq, if you will, 20-minute binary, and I'm looking at the 5-minute chart because I am pretty much looking at certain levels that I take interest in, and once a level in particular catches my eye, I look at the current candle and see where it closes. I tend to watch and see where that particular candle closes, so I can get a feel for where I need to get in. So I'm in now. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at the prior candle, and I'm assuming that this particular candle is going to continue from that prior candle. And my purpose of getting into this particular trade is to see if it'll reach that level, like if it will reach at the money. So I'm I'll get into a trade out of the money, and I tend to kind of evaluate whether or not, while I'm in the trade even, whether or not it's going to reach that at the money level. So I entered on the 10 894 and a half level, and it's at 10 917. So as you can see, the way it's looking as far as momentum wise, it looks like, or appears as if it may actually reach that level, and that's what I'm assuming here. So as this trade is going on now, I'm kind of contemplating if you can kind of even see the concern on my face. I'm contemplating on whether or not if I should even stay in this trade. I really am. And what tends to happen is when I film myself and I kind of recap and look at these particular scenarios, I absolutely still remember my state of mind in that particular trade at that moment. So so for example, in this moment, I'm evaluating whether or not I should just get out of it, because what happens is if this particular kind of trade, if it's kind of hanging on and teetering this long, it tends to not really work out too well. But every now and again, I will stick to the trade, which I did here. Now, I should have probably taken that and just gotten out of it because of the way it's moving. It's not really moving the way it usually does when I get into these kinds of trades. Usually what happens is, if this is in fact a continuation candle, it will just drop straight to the at the money level. Like, it will not necessarily just drop straight down like one fell swoop, but it will work its way to that at the money level. If not, then it'll do what it's doing right now. That particular candle will start to hurt and jerk and start to make these jagged moves. So usually in this situation, even if I'm losing this amount of money, I just get out of it. I just take the loss. But for whatever reason, I just stick around. So I'm sticking around. I'm trying to figure out whether or not now is the time to get out, which probably is not, probably a good time to get out. And what I tend to do is I kind of give myself a sort of a $20 range. So if this thing hits 95, for example, right now, which is a $300 loss in this case, because I'm trading 15 contracts, then I have to get the heck out of it. There's just no use to stick around, because as far as my method is concerned, a high percentage of the time when you see especially a candle like this, there's a pretty good chance that the next candle is going to continue. So me being in this position, I should have gotten out much earlier, first of all, but stayed in. And now that I've stayed on, I have to get out around this range anyway, especially the way the candle looks. But even if I stay in, if it reaches 95, I have to get out of it. So I can't allow it to go beyond $300, even though a little bit later on in this video I do let it, kind of break my rule a little bit. So as you can see, I took the loss. I took the loss there. It went to about around $92. I lost about $17 per contract. So you can do the math yourself, but I got in at I got in at $25, per contract, and I lost that particular amount. So I just took the loss. So here you now see that this second candle is kind of moving around. So now I'm caught watching. And when you're caught watching, after a loss especially, what tends to happen is, you kind of start to get a little bit more apprehensive about taking the next trade. And there are times where that happens, quite often with me, where I will sort of, really hesitate on the next trade because I did lose. And, so I have to fight through that a lot of times, and I have to just move on. But with that said, you see here that now I am sort of looking at this particular candle, paying close attention to this candle, paying attention to what is going to happen. So I'm jumping ahead here here because I paused the video until I seen another opportunity, which I did here. This particular trade is very interesting to me. I took this trade because even though this may look like to some of you or many of you that this thing is gonna, like, you know, somehow go up towards that 20 that 20 moving average there, but or that blue line, you know, many of you will probably say, hey, you know, this is where you definitely need to get out, Wesley, you know, whatever the case is. But, you know, I have seen this a lot of times. I've seen this too many times where this particular kind of candle in this particular trend, okay, tends to look like it's going to go a certain direction and do a certain thing, but really this is just a phantom candle. You know, I'll just call it that. You know, that's not really what, you know, you know, really what I call it. You know, I don't call it anything. I just kind of came up with that off the top of my head. But this is what I consider to be a phantom candle because it looks like it's going to go up and do whatever, but really because of the trend, which is an impulse wave, since I'm an Elliott wave trader, this is an impulse wave. So this is the fourth wave. As you can see here, you have, you know, at the top there, you have a 3-wave motion going down, and this is the fourth wave, which is a pullback. And this particular candle, I don't anticipate it passing the prior candle. I really don't. So, and you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about on the next candle. But what I'm doing here, I'm back in to the market at $25 per contract on the downside. So my bias is to sell. So so far so good. You know, I'm only out or down about $8 to $10 per contract, and things are shaping up and things are looking good. So this particular candle, what I do is when I'm in a trade like this, and you know the market starts to kind of show a certain look or show itself a certain way, especially like this, you know, where it's kind of looking like it's going to move up and sort of, you know, surge in momentum, you know, on the buy side or whatever the case is in this instance. What I tend to look for is to see what the next candle is going to do, because the thing is with Nadex, with binary options, you know, you're going to have to commit to a particular price with binary options, and when you commit to that price, you have to be absolutely okay with risking that amount of money, with a certain amount of risk. And it doesn't matter if it's one contract or 1,000 contracts. It doesn't matter. You have to be absolutely okay with the risk, because in one move or one move fell swoop, you know, you could be completely out of the money and be in max and be in a max deficit, you know, in terms of loss. So, you know, this definitely is not a platform where you want to be afraid or you want to trade with fear. in other words, so with me saying that, when I take a trade like this, I'm looking at this candle, but what I'm really interested in is the next candle. So whatever the next candle does is going to determine whether I get out or not. Okay. Or whether, you know, it's going to, you know, really explode or whatever the case is. So after this candle, which is in about 10 seconds here, the next candle is going to show up. Now I'm gonna let you see what I'm talking about here with, you know, the whole phantom candle thing. Okay. So this particular candle now I'm watching because and maybe I got the the candle wrong here, because maybe I'm because there was a situation where there was like a phantom candle, but this might not be it, or it could be. I'm not sure. But anyway, this particular candle, I'm watching to see how it's behaving and what it's doing. Now, ideally, the rule is if it goes to the bottom of the prior candle, if it reaches that wick, okay, and it starts doing its little thing, the jerking and the back and forth stuff, then it'll really put me in the frame of mind of whether or not I want to get in or out of this thing. Okay. And more so out of it, but even then, I have to be patient. I have to really just watch and see what this thing is going to do. It's the market is still on the downside. Okay. Because this is an impulse wave. If you are an Elliott wave trader, you know what I'm talking about, but this is an impulse wave, a 5-wave move. It's just a matter of time until that 5th wave really starts to show itself. But right now, we are in the 4th wave phase, so I have to be very careful in the 4th wave, which is in fact a pullback. But as you can see here, this particular candle, we're almost 2 minutes into this candle in particular, and it's really showing some tricky stuff. It's really showing some herky jerky stuff, and and really, I really didn't consider this at the time, but now that I'm watching this with you, this really constitutes really a test trade. I'm really testing these levels. That's really what's going on here. So, if I would have had that in mind at the time, I probably wouldn't have risked 15 contracts. I probably would have risked a little bit less. But it really does look like it's going to continue on the downside. It's going to continue in really forge momentum into the 5th wave. But it also appears that the 4th wave is going to sort of continue its trend. So the pullback here is looking really strong. So so right now I have to really contemplate getting out of this one too, right? Because it did technically reach the bottom of that prior wick, as I mentioned earlier. The test is really at that prior wick, and really the last 2 blue candles. Okay, as you can see there with the blue candles, the ones with the wicks, those are the ones that we really need to measure. Okay, those are the ones that we really need to pay strong attention to, because if this candle or the next candle, passes up those wicks, we're in business, and we could take some profit. So that's what I'm sincerely paying attention to. And right now, it's really looking good. We're about 1 minute 1 minute remaining into this particular candle, and it's looking really strong right now. It looks like it's going to do its thing and going to reach the bottom of that low. And as it reached the bottom of this low, the other thing with this situation is, ideally, this is where I would in fact take profit as well, because that usually at a low or prior low, it gets really dangerous in that area when you are trading a particular candle or you're trading a particular style that involves candles. It gets really dangerous because, as you can see, it hit that low and then it pulled back because it's at that support level. That is a form of a support level. So I have to be very careful here as the last few seconds finish with this candle. So now we're into the next candle, the next 5-minute candle. And here's the thing with this, this is where I really need to consider taking profit. and I have to take profit. That was so much. Look at that. That's so much decent profit. I have to take that. I have to take that profit. And what do I do? What do I do? I sit there. That's where I'm supposed to take the profit. See, this is where the downfall of my situation starts to take fold. Now I have to take this profit. So yes, that's what you're supposed to do, Wesley. So as you can see there in that situation, not only was there a phantom candle there going on the downside of that prior candle, or the last the two candles prior, but my prediction was right in terms of where I needed to where I anticipated the downturn to be after that long candle shown itself. So what I did was I stuck to my guns. I knew that if that prior candle was going to sort of hold at the bottom of those wicks on those last two blue candles, that it was going to show me some profit. It was going to give me a little bit of something, and it did. And what I like to do is I like to take profit, because as you can see with this candle, it's bouncing back, and it's going right back to it's a new low, but it's going right back to that prior low, and it's bouncing back to that prior resistance. Support. I'm sorry, support. And this is why I have the rules set the way that I do. Once I reach a certain level, and once certain candles or certain moves reach a particular level or reach a particular point of momentum, I just take the profit and be done with it. You do have people out there who will stick to certain trades until expiration, and they're sticking to the trades until the end, the total end, and they're pretty much in a do or die situation. And I don't really like do or die situations. I like to pick my spots, as you've seen here. I've chosen my spot. I knew where my spots were. I knew what I needed to do, and it did its thing. So here, I'm contemplating, what I need to do here, because now it appears as if the fourth candle was finished. The fourth wave is finished. Now, usually in pullbacks and impulse waves, they're not as predictable as some or most Elliott wavers think it is. Okay. To me personally, this is just my personal assessment of Elliott waves. The second and the fourth wave are some of the most difficult waves to trade from, because you don't know how far or how complex the correction is going to get. The correction could be short, as you see in the second wave at the top, just above. The little blue candles that you see pulling back just under the 200 moving average. You see there that it was a very short second wave, like extremely short. And usually you'll trade from that long candle with the wick. That's what you'll trade from, and you should be able to profit from that long candle. But it doesn't happen like that all the time. Sometimes you get situations like you're seeing right now on the fourth wave. On the fourth wave, you do have an ABC correction, but this particular move right now that you're looking at, you don't know if this is going to be like a C wave or if this is the A wave and it's going to pull back up to the 20 moving average there, the blue line. You don't know what it's going to do. Now, it also can just go straight down. So when it's doing stuff like this, I tend to kind of wait, feel it out. I tend to look for things that are a little bit more defined, a little bit more clear to me. Even though this is very tempting, this is a trade that most people would take. This is a trade that probably 95% of you would take. Because it just looks like it's just so strong. But I've seen this too many times, over the course of my trading. of these situations, so I just tend to wait, especially when there's wicks. If there's wicks around, you definitely need to tread very lightly, because those wicks get very tricky to trade around. You can, if you are a support and resistance trader, you're basically trading off of those levels, off of those wicks and off of those support and resistance levels. But I'm not really doing that. I'm looking for momentum. I'm looking for, good, clean movement. So right now I'm trying to figure out what this particular candle's doing. Okay, what this particular candle is going to do. I'm also paying attention to the 20 moving average. So that's the blue line. And what I tend to look for is if the current trend is going to, or the pullback, I should say here. Now here, let me just say this real quick. Now here, it appears that the third wave, that this appears to be a third wave, and it appears to also be developing an extended wave. An extended wave is an extra set of patterns in the impulse wave. If you're an Elliott wave trader, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not an Elliott wave trader, do some research on Elliott waves. This video is not, really honoring an explanation right now for that, as I'm explaining my my method here. But anywho, it appears as if it is developing into an extended wave. So you have basically a 5-wave move, and you could clearly see a 5-wave move before this particular pullback you're looking at now. So what appears to be happening, at least in my eyes, and what I'm looking for here, is it appears that it's going to continue downward on the downside. I know that I have my buy ticket up. I know I have my buy ticket up, but I'm just looking at the level, because on Nadex it actually highlights the level when you click on either side. So now I switched back to the sell side because that is my bias right now today, and I am contemplating getting in because this candle looks extremely strong. It looks very strong, and not only that, but we're about 30 seconds into the next candle, before the next candle shows up. So it appears to be very strong on the downside, but we're just still kind of looking around, still trying to feel our way around. So we got about 5 seconds until the next candle shows up, and here comes the next candle. So now I have a decision to make, and usually when I'm faced with these kinds of decisions, I'm contemplating whether or not I should even think about placing a trade right now, because usually with these kinds of moves and these kinds of looks, especially these pullbacks, as you see right now, we have a few things going on here. We have our impulse wave. We have the 20 moving average, the blue line there, which can be touched and passed going into the middle here, moving toward it, and it can move towards the 200, or it could just continue on the downside. Now, there's a 90% chance it'll continue on the downside. Okay, but there's some other, okay, that might be too high of a percentage, but there's a 70% chance it could continue on the downside, which it greatly looks like it's doing. And even with this candle, it looks like it's really about to make a move. But like I said, with binary options, there's a time factor here. So there's about 7 minutes in this binary that's left. So I don't want to get into a situation where things start getting volatile with the binaries in the last 5 minutes or the last minute, and I lose a trade, because of some erratic stuff going on, or because this particular pullback isn't really going anywhere. So it looks as if I I think I held out on this situation. I believe I did. So I don't think I really took a trade here. I think I just got caught watching. So yeah, so I'm like on my phone and stuff. So I don't I don't appear as if I'm going to take a trade now, but it looks very tempting. So so yeah, the video cut to the new binary cycle. So now it's a full 20 minutes for this particular binary cycle. So I place a trade here because and actually it didn't fill. Yeah, the order canceled. Usually what happens with binaries on Nadex, if there's like a lot of volatility or things start moving around a lot, you'll get some slippage and you'll get, you know, some binaries that won't fill. It'll just cancel the order altogether. So since it did that, and when orders get canceled and stuff, you know, it kind of throws off my rhythm a little bit. I don't know why it it tends to affect me a little bit, but it kind of throws me off my game a little bit, and I just get caught watching again. So I get caught watching to see what's going to happen with a particular candle, and again, it appears as if it's going to reach that low there where that wick is. Okay, it appears that it's going to actually touch that low, and I like to get in around like between 65, between 30 and $35. Oh, I should say, well, lower than that, between $25 to $35 per contract. That's where I tend to get in or enter trades. So that's what I'm looking at now. Now I'm looking at the price. Now I'm like, okay, what price do I want to get into, and what's a good price? And you know, these are some pretty okay prices, but I'm not taking action yet. I think I'm a little bit apprehensive right here. I think I'm a little bit hesitant. So when I get a little bit hesitant, I'll just begin to watch a little bit more. So I get caught watching a little bit more, getting a little bit comfortable now with the situation. So I don't appear to be taking much action right now. And as you can see there on the account value level, on the account value on the screen, you see where my balance is right there, and I forgot to put it up before I put the video on, so I think it was just showing my P&L, but yeah, you can now see my my actual account balance, and I'm actually up $200 by this time, so keep that in mind as we're going through this video. Now I told you I broke even earlier, so yeah, just continue to watch and learn and watch all the mistakes I started to make a little bit later. Like here and now. In these situations, when the trend is this distinct and you have a candle that's reaching a particular level, in this instance, it didn't even reach the resistance level. It didn't even reach the 20 average, the 20 period moving average. It didn't even reach it. It just kind of, where that wick is, it just kind of touched around the prior candle and it's on its way down. That's telling you something. So I should have gotten in at around, let's see, probably at around 64. That would have been a pretty good price to get into. You know, because as we're seeing here, it starts to make its move, and I'm still kind of sitting there watching. So right now, I'm just still filling things out, and you know, still trying to see what's happening here, and especially the next candle, because I think I'm watching for the next candle. Usually when things are kind of looking a little bit goofy and funny with certain candles like this one appears as if it's been a little bit stubborn and appears as if it doesn't want to start moving. So what I do is I just tend to get caught watching, and you're going to hear me say that a lot. And when I get caught watching, I'm just looking for something distinct to really feed on, to really feed my security on. So right now I'm a little bit insecure, a little bit teetered, a little bit apprehensive. So I'm just watching, and when really I should have just gotten in, and especially based on what's happening right now, and just did my thing, especially when there's 15 minutes left in this binary. This binary cycle is so long, and it appears as if this particular cycle is going to eventually continue deeply into the downside, and yet I'm still kind of just watching here. So again, I'm up $200. So for the day, because I was at around 78, I believe 78.30 or something like that. So 7,830. That's where my balance was before I started showing it. So I'm actually up $200. I'm up about $225. So for the day. So and mind you, I did think about stopping. I did think about stopping for a minute because of how I was feeling at the moment. Just kind of feeling like I don't, even though these are looking pretty good, looking okay, I don't know what to do. So okay, I think what happened, okay, as you can see here, there's a jump here on the video. So I got into a trade finally, but right now it's kind of kind of stagnant. So there's another pullback, and if you looked at the situation prior to this where I got in, as I mentioned earlier, if I would have gotten in the last one, I would have been able to profit a little bit more, but I waited until this cycle to get in, until this pullback, and I'm in there now. Now here's where things got really funny. Okay, here's where things got funny, because here I should have taken the profit. I should have taken the freaking profit, because it's reached my level. I knew that it was going to reach that level. I knew that it was going to reach that low and start to teeter back. I knew it was going to do that. But yet I just sat there. I just looked at it, got caught watching once again, and now we're not. And even in this situation, I should have just taken that little bit of loss. Okay, now it's bouncing back and forth. Now I'm really watching. Now I'm trying to see if it's going to come back a little bit and give me some profit, or at least put me in the green so I could grab a little something. But by now, I do know by now, looking at this, that there's no chance now. Like, I don't stand a chance. This is going to come back. I've seen this happen before. Some of you may be watching and like, hey, this is going to go down the next candle. No, it's not. And I knew that when I was live on that trade. I should have gotten out right there. I should have just lost about $4-5 right there. I should have taken that profit. I should have just, at least scored, $30 or something. But I stayed in it. I thought it was going to continue. I thought it was going to go back and reach that level again, but it didn't. It went back up, and it just surged back upward. And it wasn't like a huge surge. It just kind of started to touch that 20 period moving average, that blue line. It started to touch that 20 moving average. And, and I get a little bit apprehensive with these anyway, because when the 20 period moving average is this low and the candles start to kind of dance around a little bit, I know eventually it's going to snap back. And snap back past that 20 moving average, and that's kind of what it did. Now you can see that I'm down. Now I'm down by 180, 240. Look at that. I mean, this is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. That profit that I was in, it totally flipped on its head. Totally flipped on its head, because I didn't take the profit at the level I knew I should have taken the profit from. That's the whole thing. So in this situation, now I'm down by a whole lot. I'm down by $330. I think I cut my losses before I lost 400, but yeah, I have to get out of here now. So I have to get out. I'm still kind of sitting around, but I think eventually I get out. I'm kind of watching again. Got caught watching. Now I am okay. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out when I actually got out. Down 400. Oh, I actually got out at 400. Okay, I didn't realize that that's how much I got out. But okay, so I took a $400 hit there. This was a $600 turnaround, basically. I was in profit at 240 bucks, people. 240 bucks. I would have profited if I would have taken that. I would have been, $235 profit after fees. But it totally flipped on its head, and I lost $400 because I didn't stick to my rule. My rule is when I take these kinds of trades, the level I'm looking at is the prior low or looking at support and resistance levels. And all that means is that as an Elliott wave trader, I'm looking at the bottom of that third wave, okay, or the fifth wave or whatever the case is, but I'm trying to see if it's going to continue or if it's going to surpass that level. And once I saw that it wasn't going to surpass that level, I should have just taken the profit, and I didn't. And as a result, I paid for it. So as you can see, now my account is down to, now I'm down $200 because remember, my account was up. My overall balance when I started was at $7,830 something dollars. So now I'm down about 200 bucks. Okay, so I went from up 200 bucks, now down 200 bucks. So now I'm really kind of tripped out right now, and not tripped out like I'm about to like spaz out, but I'm just a little bit disappointed at the situation. Okay, not sure what happened there. There's a little bit of a malfunction. I apologize there, but oh, this is the last few minutes. Okay, so okay, so in this situation, I salvaged my account. Actually, I was down by about, I don't know, I would say about 500 bucks. I was actually down for the day, and I ended up breaking even. So I'm back at 78. Actually, I'm a technically I profited about 50 bucks maybe, for the day. But that's not really much of nothing, for me, that as far as what I'm capable of. So I just tend to say break even. But that candle there, that's this setup you're looking at here, just below that 20 period moving average, that blue line just below that, that's where I got in, and that's where I made my money back. Okay, so I was down as much as about 500 bucks, and I made that back, and basically broke even. So yeah, that was my day. This is the recap. It's been an interesting day. It's been an interesting recording today, and I'm happy to share this with you guys. I'm happy to share all of myself with you guys. The ups, the downs, the neutrals. I don't mind sharing all of this. I don't mind sharing my mistakes. And that's the difference between me and everyone else, basically. I don't mind sharing my mistakes. We all make mistakes. You think the big dogs don't make mistakes? You think the big traders don't make mistakes? You think these guys, don't break, even if they break their rules once every 6 months or every year or whatever, or once every week? Everybody, breaks their rules sometimes or whatever they're, because everything about what we're doing is based on feel. It's based on the moment. It's based on the situation. It's not just based on, some static, ordeal or some static circumstance that just, that you just expect to happen. It doesn't work like that. So today was one of those days where I just, I think after that $200 loss, I think that really kind of, I think that really kind of struck a nerve with me because, I was up and I was surging in momentum. And that money that you saw, I mean, I could have withdrew that money. That's the money that I actually could have withdrawn and enjoyed. But instead, I lost that and then some. And now I'm breaking even, and I don't get to play with any money. So now I have to, regroup, get ready for tomorrow, and hopefully I don't make the same mistakes I didn't make today. I have to correct the things that I did today. and hopefully you learn from, you know, what happened to me today, and that you get a feel for my general style of trading, my pace, what I'm doing. I have other videos that will discuss, you know, what I'm doing with the 200 period moving average, what I'm doing with the 20 period, you know, what I'm looking at with the Elliott waves and such. So there are other videos for that are coming up. Today was an impulse wave. That's what you're looking at right now. So it could be a zigzag wave, I'm not sure, but it appears to be an impulse wave. And yesterday was an impulse wave on the upside. That's what happened the whole day yesterday. The whole session today was on the impulse wave on the downside. So yeah, so thanks for watching this, and subscribe to the channel at Geek Hybrid Info at YouTube, and follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. And yeah, we're going to continue this tomorrow. You're going to get a whole lot more of this. And I'm going to record myself, and then I'm going to record my recap as I replay and rewatch my own trading. So thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye.